Today, I want to talk about how I believe there are three specifically NL teams that could possibly give the Dodgers trouble. It's very early in the season. The Dodgers are the Dodgers, but we did see them lose, I think, 2 out of 3 to Philly. However, there is hope if you're someone that's not a Dodger fan, that not your team. There's probably, like I said, there's only 3 NL teams. I haven't really looked at the AL yet, but there are probably 3 NL teams that I feel like stand a chance. 2 of them are in the same division of the Dodgers. So we'll start with that first. And that is the first team I would say are the San Francisco Giants, even though now, when I originally planned for this video, the Giants were above the San Diego Padres in this LOB percentage category, which is left on base percentage. And we'll start with them and then we'll go to San Diego. Because, spoiler alert, that's the other team. So the Giants are strange, and I say strange because they don't do anything spectacular. Like, they're just really good at pitching. Their offense has been pretty good. Their ERA is pretty good. I think it's one of the best in the league as well. Last night they did lose, but Hunter Green had a crazy showing against the Reds, so they didn't really stand a chance because Hunter Green was just on his stuff last night, and that was really cool to watch. But yeah, the Giants are just really good at preventing runs, and they don't get high strikeouts. That's why it's so crazy that their left on base percentage is at 82. So what this left on base percentage means is that if there are runners on, what is the possibility of their scoring? That's just like the dumbed down way of saying it. So obviously, the higher this is, the better it is for your team. And as you see, the Phillies have an 85.6 left on base percentage. The Padres, who we're about to talk about, has an 82.4% left on base percentage, and the San Francisco Giants have an 82.2%. Now, with the Phillies, I already know because, spoiler alert, the Phillies are the third team. But I've already the reason it works for the Phillies is because they get a lot of strikeouts and they don't walk that many people. So therefore, they are limiting who is even on base because they don't do many walks, and then they are striking out a lot of people at a high rate. So therefore, you don't really even have runners on base, and if you do, the ball's never put into play for an error to happen or a base hit because it's just the high rate of strikeouts. They average 11.11 per 9 innings. With the San Francisco Giants, however, as you see, they're at 8.4. So they don't do a lot in terms of striking out. They don't do a lot in terms of walks because, I mean, they do walk a lot of people compared to, let's say, the Phillies. And even the Padres, they walk 4.27 batters per 9. So the Giants are just a really interesting team. And even if you look at their offensive numbers, which we're about to in a second, they don't really jump out either. The Giants just simply play this brand of baseball that is almost therapeutic. It's almost what? The reason people say baseball is boring is because of teams like the Giants. But if you're someone that enjoys baseball, that's cool to see a team that they're not too flashy. They don't do anything too crazy. They just play solid baseball. They field well, they bat well enough, and they pitch well. And then that is enough to make them successful. Like I said last night, it wasn't that their pitching didn't lose them that game. Hunter Green was just phenomenal, but their pitching did not lose them that game. So yeah, that's one thing I've noticed just looking at the Giants is that they just play a very solid brand of baseball. Now, granted, you know, you can look at their competition. They played the Mariners, and I forgot who else they played, and now they're playing the Reds. So maybe you could say, well, they're not really playing anybody, and you know, you may have a point, but like, look at this. Even their average is not. It's in the top percent. Like if you look at it, they're 13th in batting average. So allowed, you know, pitching. So they're not just amazing. They just know how to make plays, and that's simply just what it comes down to. And their ERA, is third. So it just comes down to knowing how to make plays. They don't allow runs, and they don't make mistakes, and that's just simple enough to get them where they need to be. And for a team like the Dodgers, they are extremely talented, and they also don't make mistakes. I mean, look at their ERA. It's a 2.6. I don't know where they are on this left on base percentage, but okay, they're 13, so they're like in the middle of the pack. But yeah, the Dodgers also don't make mistakes, and I think that's how you're going to have to beat a team like them. They're extremely talented, so they have that to make up for their mistakes. So you almost have to play a perfect series, which we've seen in baseball. It can be done, and if I were to put money on a team that could do it, it would be the Giants, because that just seems like their bread and butter is to just be able to play this brand of baseball that they can really go with the flow of the game. It doesn't really matter, and they can beat you just because they're just so solid. Now, I spent way too much time on the Giants, but we're going to quickly go through the other two because I don't want this video to be too long. But then you also have the Padres. So the Padres, I think they're doing a lot of the same things here. As you can see, they're just not letting people get on base, which is fantastic. I always say, like, these expected and weighted batting averages, that's with help. So if you are able to limit someone to a 205 batting average with help, that means you're doing the right thing. Like, the average, as you see, is .246. And even if we go here to just regular batting average, 2.38, and they're holding teams to a .19. They are just doing a fantastic job when it comes to pitching. Now, they are a little more, I wouldn't say strikeout dependent, because they're not either, but they do an excellent job of leaving runners stranded as well, but they don't really strike out anybody, not like the Phillies, who we're about to talk about in a second. And they do actually have a pretty high amount of walks. Yeah, the 4.27 per 9. So it's a little different for them in terms of what, them compared to the Giants, but at the same time, they're keeping the ball in the park. I mean, that's just the biggest part to it. 11th in the league, so that's good. You keep the ball in the park, you always will have a chance to win. So their K rate basically matches their K per 9. And as I mentioned, they do walk a lot of people, and even the Dodgers, tend to walk a lot of people. So that's where you can find your way to beat them. But what's different between the Padres and the Giants is that simply that, one, the Padres have like that fire to beat the Dodgers. I think that they see the Dodgers more as competition than someone like the Giants, who the Giants are just coming along trying to be good. The Padres, they did go out to the Dodgers last year. They were the team that gave the Dodgers the most trouble. So I think they have that fire to go along with all the analytics you could throw. And I think the Phillies are another one of those teams where, along with the analytics, they have that fire to go along with it. So if we look at the Padres' batting numbers, like, for example, they're second in the league in batting average, 18 stolen bases. So they're just a solid team. As I mentioned with the Giants are just a solid team, but I think the Padres, they do a little more. Like, you'll see the Giants close in stolen bases, but I think the Padres are just doing a better job of it. They're playing this version of small ball that allows them to keep it sustainable. They're not extremely reliant on home runs. As you can see, they only have 10, but they are able to outplay their opponents, and that's all it comes down to. You have solid enough pitching. That bullpen has been fantastic, so you have solid enough pitching to hold the team to limited runs, and then you're able to just do enough, and that's just kind of their recipe, and it's been working for them through 11 games. So the Phillies are probably the team that, out of the two teams we've already talked about, so out of the three teams as a whole, the Phillies are probably the one team that have the offensive firepower to, I wouldn't say match the Dodgers, but give the Dodgers trouble, which we just saw in that series they played. Because as you look, the Phillies are high in batting average. They're fifth with a .268. Jeez, I'm talking too fast. And then they have a high on base percentage with a .365. They're just doing it all in order. Like, they're top 10 in slugging, which, I mean, of course, once you're in a top 5 in a couple of these, you're going to be top 10 in all. So it works out. It checks out, rather. But a .792 OPS. Like, they just have the offense to combat what the Dodgers are doing. Now, their pitching, on the other hand, it's not the same. And also, not to mention that I think the Phillies are top 5 in double RC plus. So Phillies just have the offensive firepower to deal with the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, we know how dangerous the Dodgers can be offensively with Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, all those guys. As I mentioned before, they get a lot of strikeouts. That's why their left on base percentage is so high. They don't walk that many players. As you see, they're top 4. I guess technically, will it be bottom 4? I don't know. They're top 4 in walks in terms of they're not walking anybody. Their problem is letting the ball leave the park, which, they're 7th. So that's not too bad. But considering everything else, it's just that they're allowing the ball to get hit a little more than you would probably want them to. They're 13th in batting average per balls in play. So It's a little different, but still, at the end of the day, their offense is good enough. Their pitching, it allows them to catch up. Like, their pitching is what allows them for their offense to build up, because they're not letting people score. They're striking out people, not many people on the base path. So it allows them to, kind of put the pressure on early, in which they have typically done so far this season. But anyway, that does it for this video. Sorry that this video was so long, but I just want to talk about it. Those are the 3 teams I believe have the best chance of beating the Dodgers. It's still baseball. It's still the playoffs. It's still the Dodgers at the end of the day. So it's not going to be easy by any means, but I think those teams have the best shot. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.